Srimad Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Mahabhagavat Srila Goksharas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadash Raghunath Shar Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gopal Shada Vrinda ki jai. Namachay Shri Hairas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandal Gaura Mandal Vraja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Avishya Pirati Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki jai. Shri Mani Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Sachinandan Gaura Hari ki jai. Kali Yuga Pavan Avatari Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki jai. Shri Gaur Purnima Titi ki jai. Titi Palan Kari Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Jagannath Mishra ki jai. Shri Sachi Mata ki jai. Shri Navadip Dham ki jai. Shri Antardip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Swapashad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Dandavat Pranams. So I'm going to read from this book. It's a little booklet. The Speciality of the Gift of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. I'm always on this day of Gaur Purnima, I always start to, because of the kirtan was so intense, and I'm always really out of it on this day. But anyways, forgive me if I'm not reading. So I'm going to try to read as enthusiastically as I can. But okay, let's start from the beginning. This is a really amazing article, though. Let's start with the preface. Okay. Okay, is my screen sharing? Yes, it is. All right. We feel most blessed to present to the community of the, and this is the preface by the Rays of the Harmonist team. So, we feel most blessed to present to the community of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees, as well as to all spiritually inclined people, this booklet, an English rendering of the speciality of the gift of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. This treatise was originally written in Bengali in the year 1986 for the 500th anniversary of the advent of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the scheduled yet hidden incarnation for this age of Kali, as established in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic literatures. It was composed by Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gurudeva, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's illustrious personal associate, whose sole mission and most prominent speciality, Vaishishta, was to give clarity and emphasis to the specific internal nature of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's all-compassionate mission in this world. Srila Gurudeva exhibited many specialities in his presentation of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, the philosophical line of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, which served to direct the souls of this world to avail themselves of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's unprecedented mercy. Examples of this are his untiring glorification of the contribution of Srila Rupa Goswami, who was the first to reveal the truth of Srimad Mahaprabhu's inner mission. His expert and sweet presentation of the successive specialities of exalted devotees, as presented by Srila Sanatana Goswami and Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. His enthusing the annual Brajmandal Parikrama by his extraordinary Harikatha, and by his deep and unflinching faith in the boon received by Sri Narad Muni from Sri Krishna himself, that anyone who with faith visits Sri Krishna's pastime places in Braj, touches the dust of those places, and offers pranam, will surely develop Braj Prem in his heart. By his singing the speciality of the sacred Parakiya Bhav of Braj, and by his establishing the speciality of Mahaprabhu's mood and pastimes in Navadvip, compared to his mood and pastimes in Sri Jagannath Puri, to name just a few. In this way, Srila Gurudeva is an unfathomable ocean of transcendental specialities. By his mercy, this sublime treasure, the speciality of the gift of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, has surfaced in our churning that ocean. This is therefore Srila Gurudev's gift also. With utmost reverence and care, we are now presenting it to Sri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, the most revered circle of Sri Gaur Hari's dear devotees. We are confident that this exposition will be treasured by them, irrespective of their affiliation. We hope that devotees find great relish in becoming absorbed in these esoteric truths, especially at the time of Sri Navadvip Parikrama and Sri Gaur Hari's appearance day, and, appreciating their good fortune, embrace these moods, singing the glories of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga to their heart's satisfaction. We humbly present the gift as a gift to Srila Gurudev, just as one worships the Ganges with the water of the Ganges. May Srila Gurudev mercifully accept our humble offering, and being pleased with it, shower his blessings from the eternal abode, so that one day, by his causeless mercy, we may become truly qualified to treasure and follow the specialities of his transcendental teachings, and become his insignificant instruments in conveying those specialities to others. Jai Srila Gurudev, Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari, the Rays of the Harmonist team. And I'll just check every now and then if there are any comments. All right. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. I offer pranam unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is Sri Krishna himself. Having assumed the golden hue of Srimati Radhika, he is most munificently bestowing Krishna Prem, love for Sri Krishna, the rarest of all gifts. And the footnote says, this verse gives the very essence of Sriman Mahaprabhu's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. His name, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. His form, golden complexion, Gaura Cliche. His quality, his being most munificent, Mahavadanya. And his pastime, bestowing Krishna Prem. That's neat. I've never thought about that verse like that this verse has those four things: his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Nam, Rup, Guna, Lila. It's composed by Sri Rupa Goswami. Rajendra Nandan Sri Krishna, the son of the king of Braj, is the condensed essence of eternality, cognizance, and bliss, and is the topmost aspect of the supreme absolute truth. He is Swayam Bhagavan, that form of the Lord who has no source other than himself, and who, from beginningless time, has appeared in unlimited forms. Among all these manifestations, his incarnations like Vasudev, Narayan, Ram, and Nrsimha are his expansions, or anshas. This is the philosophical conclusion, the Siddhanta, established in the Shrutis, Smritis, and other scriptures, including the crest jewel of all Puranas, the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has two original eternal forms. Swayam Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the origin of all other incarnations of Godhead, has another eternal form, or Swarup, that is not an expansion, and yet is eternally manifest with the very quality of being Swayam Bhagavan. The complexion of that Sarup is not the bluish black, Shyam, the Shyam hue of Vrajendra Nandan Sri Krishna. Rather, it is the color of gold. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Karabhajan Rishi speaks of the worshipful form of Bhagavan in Kali Yuga and the process of worshipping him. Krishna Varnam Tisha Krishna Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti Sumedasa. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:5-32. O King, he who perpetually performs kirtan of the two syllables Krish and Na, whose complexion is a-Krishna, the opposite of a deep bluish black, or golden, who is surrounded by his own expansions, his angas, such as Sri Nityananda Prabhu, his upangas, such as Sri Advaita Acharya, his powerful weapons, his astra, in the form of Sri Krishna's holy names, and his dear companions, his parshads, such as Sri Gadadhar, Sri Sarup Damodar, and Sri Rai Ramananda, Srivas Pandit, and other pure devotees, is worshipped by those with deep intelligence through the Sankirtan Yajna, the congregational chanting of the Lord's holy names, by which they make their lives successful. The prominent commentators on the Srimad Bhagavatam, such as Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, expound the meaning of this verse on the unshakable foundation of scriptural evidence and irrefutable logic. They explain that Krishna Varnam means the two syllables, Krish and Na, or he who performs the kirtan of Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, and associates. And they define Tisha Krishna as Gaur, are adorned with a golden complexion. Furthermore, it is stated in the Mundaka Upanishad, Yada Pashyate Rukmavan I'm trying to think of the meter. Anyways, I'm just going to read it however. Yada Pashyate Rukmavarnam Kartaram Isham Purusham Brahma Yonim Tada Vidvan Punya Pape Viduya Niranjana Paramam Samyam Upaiti. Mundaka Upanishad 3:1-3. When the living being sees that the entire universe has been manifested by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he whose complexion is beautiful like brilliant gold, Rukmavarna, who is the super soul of all and who is the supreme doer. And when he understands that this same Supreme Personality is the basis of the impersonal Brahman, then that wise living being attains transcendental knowledge and becomes free from both pious and sinful karmic reactions. Thus freed from his connection with the material energy and from the body comprised of that energy, he attains the supreme qualitative non-difference from the Lord, along with a spiritual form akin to his. This evidence clearly proves that this golden complexion personality is also Swayam Bhagavan himself. Complexion of Swayam Bhagavan Sri Krishna is deep bluish black, and the complexion of Swayam Bhagavan Sri Gaur Sundar is golden. At this point, the following doubt may arise. Is Swayam Bhagavan, that is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, actually two separate personalities? The answer is no. This is not possible. Swayam Bhagavan is Ekam Eva Dvitiyam, one without a second, from the Chandogya Upanishad 6.2.1. This is the sole conclusion of the Shrutis. Para Brahma Swayam Bhagavan is the non-dual absolute truth, the Advaya Gyan Paratattva, and therefore Swayam Bhagavan Sri Krishna and Swayam Bhagavan Sri Gaur Sundar can never be two different persons. And in the above verse, the word samyam means possessing qualities or ingenuity like his. In other words, upon receiving darshan, audience of Sri Gaur Sundar, the residents of this world become full of prema, pure love of God, pure love for God, just as he is. just as he is. I messed up there. Furthermore, the potency to bestow that prema upon others is transmitted to them. It is stated, Jare deke tare koho Krishna naam, e mata Vaishnav koilo sabane jagram. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 7:101. As empowered representatives of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, they would ask whomever they met to chant the names of Sri Krishna. In this way, they transformed all of their fellow villagers into Vaishnavas. Therefore, it is the absolute conclusion of the Shrutis, Smritis, the fifth Veda, Mahabharata, and the crest jewel of all scriptural evidence, Srimad Bhagavatam, that Sriman Mahaprabhu is in fact Swayam Bhagavan, the original supreme personality of Godhead himself. Haribol, Gargraj and Pradesh Maharaj. The unfolding of Sri Gaur Hari's astonishing compassion. Swayam Bhagavan's compassion, his karuna, when he appears as the golden complexioned Sri Sachinandan, is more extraordinary than his compassion when he appears as the sham-colored son of Sri Nanda Maharaj. There's a footnote here. Within this article, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is also referred by his other names, Sachinandan, the son of Mari Sachi, or as Gaur Hari, Gauranga, Gaur, and Gaur Sundar. Okay, we didn't need to read that. So when he appears as Sachinandan, his compassion is more extraordinary than when he appears as Nandanandan. Sri Bhagavan is the ocean of compassion, and he is condensed joy personified. His compassion is present within every pastime he performs. In fact, each of his forms, his every incarnation, is overflowing with compassion. For this quality is the inherent quality of Bhagavan's nature. The essence of Godhood, of Bhagavata, is certainly his madhurya, or sweetness. And it is in his compassion alone that this madhurya manifests. Without the blossoming of his compassion, it would be rare, nay, impossible, for one's mind and intelligence to conceive of, remember, or have realization of the Lord's opulence and sweetness, or his transcendental qualities and pastimes, which attract the hearts of all the living entities in the world. What to speak of actually being able to behold them directly? The multitude of jivas, living entities, is the prominent object of Sri Bhagavan's karuna, or tender compassion. To immerse those living entities who are favorably disposed towards him, in his pastimes, which are the ocean of ras, and full of opulence and sweetness, verily constitutes the unprecedented unfolding, a revelation of his merciful compassion. And ras means relishable transcendental mellow, perceivable only by one in a spiritually perfected state. To make the living entities who are averse to him favorably inclined to him, let me start again. To make the living entities who are averse to him favorably inclined through any means possible is also the enfolding of his compassion. And to annihilate the wicked demons who are opposed to him and his devotees, and then grant them liberation, is even further evidence of the variegated nature of the unfolding of his tender compassion. The root cause of the advent of all of the Lord's incarnations in this material world is stated in the following verses of Sri Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verses 7 to 8. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya chadushkritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. O descendant of Bharata, whenever there is a decline of religion and an increase of irreligion, at that time I manifest my eternally perfect form in this mundane world. To protect my unalloyed devotees, annihilate the wicked, and firmly establish religion, I appear in every age. In this way, if we reflect upon the root cause of the advent of all the incarnations of Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can conclude that it is to protect the saintly persons, annihilate the demons, and establish proper religious conduct by destroying irreligion. However, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's advent has three special root causes apart from those mentioned in the above verses. Not even one of these three special causes is seen in relation to any it's not seen in relation to any other incarnation. This is uniquely in Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The three unique purposes of Sri Gaur Hari's advent. First, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu incarnated as a result of becoming subservient to his own tender compassion, karuna. Second, he descended to bestow the wealth of his own supremely radiant devotion, swabhakti, which is full of ras. Third, he appeared with a greed to taste his Krishna Swarups, unparalleled variegated sweetness, as relished by Srimati Radhika. He did this by accepting her mood and complexion. In the following verse, Srila Rupa Goswami, providing the backdrop of Sri Sachinandan Gaur Hari's appearance, mentions the first two reasons. Anarpita chirim chirat karunaya bhattirna kalo samarpaitum unotto jala rasam svabhakti shriyam hari purata sundara duti kadamba sandipita sada hridaya kandare spurato va sachinandanaha. Shri Vidagdha Madhav 1-2. May the son of such Srimati Sachi Devi, Sri Gaur Hari, forever manifest spontaneous. Oh my god. May the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, Sri Gaur Hari, forever manifest spontaneously within the innermost core of your heart. Adorned with the radiant splendor of molten gold, he is descended in the age of Kali out of his causeless compassion, karuna, to bestow upon the world that which has not been given for an unimaginably long time, the beauty of his own brilliantly radiant Ujjvala Prem Ras Bhakti, service and the highest mellow of amorous love. Regarding the third reason, Srila Sarup Damodar Goswami has said, Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kedrisho Vanayaiva Sadhyo Yenarbhuta Madhurima Kedrisho Vamadiya Sokyam Chasya Maranubhavata Kedrisham Vetilobhat Darbhavadya Samajani Sachigarbha Sindhu Harindu. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 1:6. How great is the glory of the deeply intense love, the pranaya of Sri Radha. What is the nature of my astonishing sweetness, which she alone relishes? And what special kind of happiness does she experience upon tasting my sweetness? Intense greed to taste these three things arose within the heart of Sri Krishna, and to fulfill that intense desire, he took birth from the womb of Mother Sri Sachi, like the moon rising from the ocean. Although the fundamental reasons behind all the incarnations, protecting the devotees, annihilating the demons, and establishing true religion, exhibit Bhagavan's compassion for all living beings, the word karuna, tender compassion, is not clearly stated as being the reason for the appearance of any incarnation other than Sri Gaur Hari. Therefore, the compassion that Bhagavan exhibits as Sri Gaur is so much greater than that exhibited by any other incarnation. Indeed, such a vast distinction has never before been manifested. In this regard, we present the following considerations. 8 unprecedented distinctions of Sri Gaur Hari's compassion. Oh, and you can let me know, is the kirtan going on outside? Is it too loud? If it is, I can shut my window. One. So these are 8 unprecedented distinctions of Sri Gauri's compassion. 1. Actually, it's distracting for me. Nah, I can do it. I can manage. Okay, 1. No other incarnation bestowed bhakti upon all. As previously stated, the reason Sri Bhagavan accepts unlimited incarnations is to protect devotees, annihilate demons, and establish true religion. According to scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam, even the unfathomably deep and shoreless oceans are unable to properly bathe even one bodily hair of any of those influential incarnations, like Matsya, Kurma, and Varaha. Yet there is no possibility of these incarnations bestowing bhakti. Wow. That's, and avatars such as Sri Nrsimha, Vaman, and Parshuram remain exclusively confined to the specific purposes of their respective advents. Avatars such as Kapila and Dattatreya only instructed Sankhya Yoga, the yoga of analytical study of material elements. And a description of bestowing bhakti is not to be found in avatars like Buddha. Of all the avatars, only Sri Ramachandra and Sri Krishna Chandra attracted all living entities. Still, in regard to bestowing bhakti, Rag Bhakti, they did not exhibit particular magnanimity. That's a hard word to say. They did not exhibit particular magnanimity, even to their own close associates. Sri Ramachandra proposed the benedictions of sense enjoyment, bhoga, and liberation, moksha, to associates such as Lomasha Rishi, Sharabhanga, Sutikshna, the rishis of Dandakaranya, and even Kakabushundi. There's a footnote that says, these exalted associates of Lord Ramachandra were not interested in personal enjoyment, and therefore they did not actually accept bhog or moksha from him. Sri Bhagavan reveals the exalted disposition of his pure devotees through such pastimes. In this way, he kept bhakti, rag bhakti, concealed. There's another footnote. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 8:18, as quoted on page 10. Sri Ramachandra is Maryada Purushottam, the incarnation of the Lord who exhibits the rules of proper religious etiquette and conduct. It can therefore be understood that for him to conceal bhakti, rag bhakti, is actually appropriate, for by withholding the bestowal of that bhakti, the etiquette of religious principles, maryada, was not transgressed. Yet for Sri Krishna, who is Leela Purushottam, that incarnation of the Lord who relishes superlative, ever-fresh pastimes, and who apparently transgressed maryada to some extent, it was certainly appropriate to be magnanimous by granting that same bhakti. But he also, to a large degree, concealed such swabhakti to him. Rajan patir guru alam bhavatam yadunam Taivam priya kulapati kvavcha kinkarova Astvena manga bhagavan bhajatam mukundo Muktim dadati karhichit smana bhakti yogam. Srimad Bhagavatam 5:6-18. O king, it is true that Bhagavan Mukunda has become the maintainer, guru, worshipful deity, beloved, master, and sometimes even the servant of you and the Yadavas. Still, although that Bhagavan Shri Krishna easily grants liberation to those who worship him, he does not easily give them bhakti to himself. Krishna jadi chute bhakte bhakti mukti diya Kavu prema bhakti na dena rakena lukaya. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 8:18. Shri Krishna immediately delivers liberation, mukti, or worldly sense pleasure, bhukti, according to the devotee's desires. But he does not easily give pure, unalloyed, loving devotion, prem bhakti. Indeed, he keeps that hidden. Okay, this kirtan's getting too loud for me, so I'm gonna close my window right now. 1 second. I just finished the kirtan, right, as I want to close my window. Anyways. Shri Gaur Hari gives prem, pure love of God, without considering qualification. So what was the first one? Was no other incarnation bestowed bhakti upon all. Second one is Shri Gaur Hari gives prem, pure love of God, without considering qualification. In this way, in all his forms, the Lord who can make the impossible possible keeps his bhakti hidden, even from those who worship him. However, in his form of Shri Gauranga, in order to inundate all jivas with bhakti ras via his instructions, touch, glance, and inspiration, he accepted sannyas, the renounced order, and traveled broadly, and he sent his associates throughout the land as his emissaries, manifesting deities and devotional scriptures through them. Thus he freely and generously, with both hands, distributed pure love for his holy name. Srila Rupa Goswami states, Santavatara bhava pankaja nabhasya sarvato bhadra Krishnad anya kova latasvapi premado bhavati. Laghu Bhagavatamrita Purvakanda 303. Let that form of Bhagavan who has a lotus stemming from his navel expand unlimited incarnations, replete with all auspiciousness. No, let that form expand unlimited incarnations, replete with all auspiciousness. But apart from Sri Krishna, who else can bestow prem upon surrendered souls? This is indeed true, but according to the Gita verse, Ye yata mang papadyante, 4:11, in whichever way a person surrenders to me, I reciprocate with him accordingly. Shri Krishna bestows bhakti in proportion to one's faith and qualification, neither less nor more, but the exact proportion only. It is a fact that Shri Krishna's name is supremely magnanimous and merciful. In the past, present, and future, when chanted to indicate something else, sanket, or jokingly, parihas, antagonistically, stobha, or even disrespectfully, hela, his name has delivered, is delivering, and will continue to deliver, even those who chant a semblance of the name, namabhas. Nevertheless, Krishna nam kore aparadhir vichar, Krishna bolile aparadhir na hoy vikar. Shri Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 8:24. In the chanting of Krishna Nam, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, offenses are seriously considered. For this reason only, an offender does not experience any spiritual transformation while chanting. But in contrast, we find this verse in relation to the sacred name of Gaur. Chaitanya Nityanande nahi esa vichar, nam loite prema den bahe ashudar. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 8:31. In regard to chanting the names of Sri Caitanya and Nityananda Prabhu, such considerations do not exist. Rather, these names bestow prem upon the chanter, and tears of pure love cascade from his eyes. That's so beautiful. Not only this, E man doyalu Prabhu nahi tribhuvane, Krishna prema janmai jar dur darashani. In the three worlds, there is no master as merciful as he, by whose mere audience Krishna prem awakens. 3. Sri Gaur Hari surrendered to his mercy potency. In this way, in the matter of bestowing prem, Srimad Mahaprabhu's karuna, his compassionate mercy, did not consider who was deserving and who was not. Considering all to be deserving, she immediately granted prem to whomever she came across. She personally made those who were undeserving eligible and filled them with the nectar of prem. Unata Ujjvala Swabhakti, the Lord's own brilliantly radiant service mood and the highest mellow of amorous love is extremely difficult to obtain, even for the Lord's dearmost associates like Sri Narad. So what to speak of Sadak Bhaktas? However, when Sri Gaura's karuna extended herself without any obstruction, fully retaining her independence, that supremely rare nectar of Unata Ujjvala Prem inundated the whole world like a powerful flood. Srimad Mahaprabhu gave full freedom to his unprecedented mercy, his karuna potency, telling her, Karuna, I surrender unto you. In whichever direction you choose, however far you want to go, and to whatever place you want to travel, drown everyone, the offenders, the antagonists, the neutral, the faithful, the faithless, the ordinary devotees, and the special devotees. Drown everyone in the flood of prem. And this flood of prem, first the hills of Kulia, the blasphemous students of Navadip, then the valley of Nilachal, Advaitavadis such as Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and last the highest peaks of the mountains of Kashi, the offender Advaitavadi Prakashananda Saraswati and his 60,000 disciples. All these were drowned beneath the bottom of abyss, Atal. The hills of Kulia, the valley of Nilachal, the highest peaks of the mountains of Kashi were drowned beneath the bottom of abyss, Atal. And just a deep or seemingly bottomless chasm. Abyss. Sri Gaur's tender compassion has such unparalleled sweetness, such astonishing gaiety, such incomparable magnanimity, and such unprecedented distinction that it is not seen even in Lila Purushottam Sri Krishna, who can also bestow prem. 4. Only the original Lord can exhibit all other forms of Godhead. Let me just see comments. Each of Bhagavan's other incarnations that he exhibits in this world maintains the same particular form from the beginning of that incarnation's advent until the end. Only when he appeared as Sri Krishna did he reveal other forms. He showed his four-armed form to Devaki and Vasudeva, and also to the gopis, his universal form to Arjuna, and his form as Sri Ram to Hanuman in Dwarka. This is possible for Sri Krishna because he is Swayam Bhagavan, that form of the Supreme Lord who is no source other than himself. But other avatars, such as Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimha, and Sri Ram, did not at any point manifest a form other than their own. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, however, showed devotees the particular form of Bhagavan that they cherished, and he did this before everyone present. He showed his Nrsimha form to Srivas and to Nrsimhananda, and his Sri Ram form, along with Sri Ram's associates, to Murari Gupta. He manifested his Yagya Varaha form. Lord bore the form of sacrifice, his four-armed form, his six-armed form, or his eight-armed form to some, and his form as Sri Krishna holding a flute to others. And he manifested his form as Rasaraj Mahabhav. Rasaraj Mahabhav. Rasaraj is he who is king in relishing all transcendental mellows, that is Sri Krishna. And Mahabhav, she who is the quintessence of all loving emotions for Krishna, that is Srimati Radhika. The term Rasaraj Mahabhav therefore refers to the combined form of Shri Shri Radha Krishna. So he manifested this form as Rasaraj Mahabhav to Sri Rai Ramananda. Along with the fact that he is directly Swayam Bhagavan, this attribute establishes his prominence among all of his other incarnations. 5. Sri Gaur Hari's compassion unfolds fully. In all of Bhagavan's other incarnations, he protected the saintly persons, who thus directly experienced his tender compassion. And by establishing true religion, the Lord benefited the sincere devotees of the Absolute Truth. Thus, they too experienced his mercy. In those incarnations, Bhagavan annihilated the demons and granted them a spiritual destination, Gati. Thus, he is known as Hatari Gati Dayak, he who bestows a spiritual destination upon those demoniac persons he kills. Shri Krishna not only gave liberation, mukti, to the demons he slayed, but he even granted liberation to those who were killed by his associates, such as Arjuna and Bhima. The Lord's compassion for the demons is a cause of wonder. He even gave the demoness Putana the status of his own nurse. But at what moment did the demons have any realization of the compassion of Bhagavan Shri Krishna bestowed upon them? It was only after their death, upon attaining a place at his lotus feet, that they realized it. As long as they were alive, they had no experience of it at all. Nor could any of their relatives, such as their sons or wives, realize that compassion, or karuna, save Kaliya and his wives. Up until their very last breath, these demons and their families were convinced that Krishna had treated them only with cruelty. For these reasons, in all of Bhagavan's other incarnations, the unfolding of the sweetness of his karuna was incomplete. On the other hand, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu never carried any type of weapon, nor did he ever take anyone's life. Rather, he purified the consciousness of all beings by giving them the holy name of the Lord. Sri Gaur did not annihilate the demons themselves. Rather, he destroyed their demoniac disposition. This unique speciality is seen exclusively in this avatar. For example, Jagai and Madai, Chand Kazi, the blasphemous students in Navadip, and the impersonalist Prakashananda Saraswati of Kashi and his disciples were all inimical to Sri Vishnu and the Vaishnavas, and thus were severe offenders. Yet, by the tender compassion of Srimad Mahaprabhu, they all became Mahabhagavats. Along with their respective wives, sons, and disciples, in their very lifetime, they realized and relished the sweetness of his unprecedented compassion. Thus, they were blessed, and their lives became successful. Sri Gaur Hari was inconceivably anxious to deliver all souls. When Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu used to meet with his associates, he would inquire from them how all the jivas could be delivered. This included all the animals, the birds, grass, creepers, shrubs, and all other moving and non-moving living beings. Associates such as Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Advaita Prabhu, and Sri Haridas Thakur would reply, "Through your resounding Harinam Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord, all moving and non-moving living beings will certainly be delivered. Simply by being touched by air that has mingled with the sound of pure Nam, a person is certain to be delivered. It is a fact that the unprecedented nature in which the Lord's karuna unfolds through the propagation of loud Sri Nam Sankirtan, as witnessed in the avatar of Sri Gaur, is not seen in any other incarnation. Nor do we see that any other incarnation possesses such an intense mood of eagerness to deliver the living entities as does Sri Gaur. Besides Sri Gaur Hari, no other form of Bhagavan personally taught the living entities of this world how to propagate and practice the precepts and conduct of bhakti. Sri Gaur 7. Sri Gaur Hari, he who relishes ras to the highest extent and who is supremely merciful to all. It is stated in Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 4:16, Rasik Shekhar Krishna Parama Karuna. Krishna is Rasik Shekhar, he who relishes ras to the highest extent, and Parama Karuna, he who is supremely merciful to all. When we reflect upon this, we can see that it is indeed true that Krishna is Rasik, an enjoyer of ras, and Karuna, compassionate. Nevertheless, as long as he did not accept the mood, the bhav, and complexion, the kanti, of Srimati Radhika and appeared as Sriman Mahaprabhu, he can neither relish ras to the highest extent, nor be supremely merciful to all. This is because in his pastimes as Krishna, his three desires remained unfulfilled. It was only in his pastimes as Sri Gaur that he fulfilled and relished them and truly became Rasik Shekhar, the crest jewel of those who relish transcendental mellows. Sri Krishna stole butter, and he also stole the hearts of the gopis. But he could not steal Sri Radha's complexion, or her moods of Madan, Modan, and Mohan, which are her very own nature. For this reason, Sri Rai Ramananda says, Radha Bhava Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. I offer my obeisances again and again to that Krishna who is resplendent with the luster and intrinsic mood of Srimati Radhika. By granting liberation to the demons, Krishna relieves the burden of the earth, and thus he is Karuna, or merciful. Sriman Mahaprabhu, however, without the slightest hesitation, distributed prem, which is difficult for Brahma himself to attain, even to offenders. For this reason, the superlative adjective is used, and he is known as Parama Karuna, supremely merciful and compassionate. 8. An astonishing speciality of Sri Gaur Lila. There is yet another exceptional speciality of Sriman Mahaprabhu's Karuna. Krishna Prem will awaken in the heart of whoever utters the name of Gauranga. He who accepts the shelter of Gauranga will attain Vrajendra Nandan Sri Krishna and his associates. One who takes shelter of the land of Gautamandal will attain eternal residence in Vraj. Aho! Those who drown in the ocean of the transcendental moods of Sri Gaura's love will float in the waves of prem for Shri Shri Radha Madhav, as stated by Sri Lanartam Das Thakur. Jai Gaurangar Naam Loy, Tar Hoy Premadoy, Tare Mui Jai Bodhi Hari. Prem will awaken in that person who utters Sri Gauranga's holy names. I give my heart and soul to him and exclaim, excellent, bravo. Gaurangera sangi gane nitya seda kori mane se jaya vrajendra sutapasha Shri Gaura mandala bhumi jeva jane chintamani tar hoy brajabu vasa. That person who accepts that Gauranga's personal that person who accepts that Gauranga's personal associates are eternally perfected souls, Nityasiddha, that person is promoted to the transcendental abode of Vrajendra Sutta, the son of the king of Vraj. One who knows the divine land of Sri Gautamandal to be transcendental touchstone, Chintamani, is in truth a resident of the land of Vraj. Gaura prema rasar nave se tarange jeva dube se radha madhava antaranga se radha madhava antaranga. Gaur Prem is an ocean of ras. One who dives deep within the waves of that ocean becomes a confidential associate of Shri Shri Radha Madhav. How astonishing! One who drowns in the Indian Ocean and arises in the Pacific Ocean. One drowns in the ocean of Gaur Prem and surfaces in the ocean of Radha Krishna Prem. One accepts the shelter of the associates of Gaur and becomes the maidservant, the dasi, of Srimati Radhika. This is an astonishing speciality of Gaur Lila. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's most sacred gift, Parakiya Bhav. Also, in the realm of sadhya, the goal, sadhan, spiritual practice to attain it, and upasana, the process of worship, the significance of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's gift stands as even more radiant and incomparable. Lucid insight into the subject of Parakiya Bhav, transcendental paramour love, is found in Sri Krishna Karnamrita, in Srimad Bhagavatam's Ras Panchadhyay, the 5 chapters describing Sri Krishna's Ras Lila, and in the songs of Sri Chandidas and Vidyapati. However, prior to the advent of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, no other Vaishnava Acharya had imparted such explicit teachings on Parakiya Bhav in regard to Sadhya and Sadhan. Prior to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, no other Vaishnava had imparted such explicit teachings on the Parakiya Bhav in regard to Sadhya and Sadhan. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, it wasn't something that was actually attainable, and there was no process to attain it before Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. It existed, but Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's one-pointed followers who fulfill his heart's inner desire, his manopishta, such as Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, and Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, have established within their authoritative books like Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sri Ujjvala Nilamani, and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita respectively, that Parakiya Bhav is the only and ultimate conclusive truth, Siddhanta, in the matter of the transcendental goal and the means to attain it. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 4:47-49 states, Parakiya Bhave Ati Rasera Ulas Brajavina Har Anyatra Nahi Vas. In Parakiya Bhav, the mood of transcendental paramour love, there is extreme jubilation in Ras. This mood does not reside anywhere other than in Vraj. Vrajavadu ganere bhavanirabadi taramade shiradhaya bhavera avadi. This mood is without limit in the young brides of Vraj. Among them, it culminates in Sri Radha. Prodha nirmala bhava prema sarvatama Krishner madhurya rasa ashvada karana. Her mature, immaculate love surpasses that of all others, and is the sole cause of her relishing the nectar of Shri Krishna's transcendental sweetness. Srila Premananda Das Thakur has also sung with great joy. Emon Sachira Nandana Vine Sachira Nandana Vine Prema Bodhina Hatiyar Bhutta Shruta Hoito Kane. Do we do the whole song? Oh, it does. Let's sing this with Mridanga. I'm going to first read the translation, and then we can sing this song. Oh, without the mercy of Sri Gaur Sundar, the son of Sachi, who could have ever heard the extremely wonderful word prem? Who else would have told us about the unlimited glories and transcendental qualities of Sri Krishna's holy name? If Sri Gaur Hari had not appeared and described the unfathomable sweetness of Vrindavan, who could have become immersed in the sweetness of that Vrindavan? Without Rasik Shekhar Sri Gaur Hari, who else could have informed us of the sweetness relished by Sri Radha and of the astonishing glories of her Madhur Ras, her amorous love, which embodies the highest stages of Mahabhav, Modan, Madan, and various other ecstasies? Before Sri Sachinandan Gaur Hari revealed her Anubhavs and divine sattvic transformations, who was able to comprehend this subject? Without him, who could have understood the transcendental pastimes of Braj, such as Ras Lila and Maharas? Maharas, the loving affairs and the reality, the tattva of Parakiya Ras. Who could have understood the transcendental pastimes of Vrajas as Rasula and Maharas, the loving affairs in the tattva of Parakiras? Who made it possible to know the glories of the gopis and the limits of their transcendental, transitory emotions, the Abhichari bhavs? O age of Kali, you are most blessed and glorious, for within you, Sri Gaur Hari and Sri Nityananda Prabhu have appeared on this earth out of their supreme compassion. They filled the world with the revelation of such superlative transformations of prema, which were incomprehensible even to Brahma. Without discriminating between who is elevated and who is fallen, they embraced everyone and granted this prema. Sri Premananda says, O brothers, wander in this world, keeping that Sri Gauranga locked in the core of your heart. Let's sing this song now. We've read the translation. One second, I need to adjust the settings here. Advanced settings. Echo cancellation. Okay. Okay, I think this will work. Emo Sachiranandana Bine Emo Sachiranandana Bine Emo Sachira Nandana Dine Emo Sachira Nandana Dine Prema Bolina Matiyar Puta Shuta Huito Kane Eman Sachira Nandana Vine Eman Sachira Nandana Vine Shri Krishna Namera Saguna Mahima Keva Janai To Ara Vrinda Vipinera Mahamadurima Pravesha Hoito Tara Eman Sachira Nandana Dine Sachira Nandana Dine Keva Janaito Radha Ramadurya Rasa Jasha Charmat Kara Tara Lopa Satvika Vikar Gochara Chilo Akara Eman Sachira Nandana Vine Eman Sachira Nandana Vine Raja Vilas Rasa Maharaj Prema Parakiya Tattva Gopira Mahima Vyabhichari Sima Karavakati Chiloita Karavakati Chilo Eta Eman Sachira Nandana Vine Eman Sachira Nandana Vine Tanya Kali Tanya Nitai Chaitanya Parama Karuna Kori Vidya Gochar Je Prema Vikar Prakashe Jagata Gori Prakashe Jagata Gori Uttamaya Dhamma Kishuna Bachido Jachia Tileka Ko Uttamaya Dhamma Kishuna Bachido Jachia Tileka Ko Kohe Premanande Emona Gorange Kohe Premanande Emona Gorange Antare Doriya Do Antare Doriya Do Sachiranandana Dine Sachiranandana Dine Prema Bodhina Bhaktiya Bhuta Shuddha Hui Tokar Kane Mana Sachiranandana Sachiranandana Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandan Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari. Jai. Okay. So the joyfulness and saturation of extreme sweetness that existed in the speciality. Oh my God, my door opened up. 1 second. The joyfulness and saturation of extreme sweetness that existed in the speciality of Sri Gaura's Karuna as she blossoms and reveals herself is wholly indescribable and incomparable. This absolute sweetness is seen in Sri Gaura's manifesting his very own nature, his very own swarup, and his purifying of degraded persons, and his bestowing Swabhakti Shriyam, the beauty of own loving devotion, and his delivering the jivas of the future, and his illuminating the highest limits of the very constitutional nature of the living beings, or in other words, and his revealing the utmost limit of their Krishna Prem, and his distributing Nam Prem, the holy name uttered in pure love of God, and above all, and his relishing the incomparable loveliness of Sri Krishna. The sweetness of the revelation of Sri Gaura's divine compassion is not witnessed in any other age, nor manifests in any other form of Bhagavan. Therefore, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has said, O saintly persons, O sadhus, my sincere request is that you place everything else at a distance and develop deep, single-pointed attachment to the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Chandra. Jai Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai. That was amazing. I think that was one of the most beautiful glorifications of Sachinandan Gaur Hari that I've ever read, actually. And it's all new things I've never heard before, like all new points that we don't speak all the time. Yeah, this is amazing. Anyhow, so if anybody would like this to read this book or to have it, you can get it on purebhakti.com. I just found it by going in Google search, and I just typed Gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Pure Bhakti, and then it came up. It was the first thing that came up. So thank you all for reading with me. I'm gonna go now. It's 4:22. I'm gonna finish up and join the temple program now. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gantavika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai. Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai. Nitil Vishwam Vishnupar Ashtatarashata Shishmad Shila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Gosvami Maharaj Shila Gurudeva ki Jai. Nitil Vishwam Vishnupar Ashtatarashata Shishmad Shila Bhaktivedanta Vamana Gosvami Maharaj ki Jai. Nitil Vishwam Vishnupar Ashtatarashata Shishmad Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitil Vishwam Vishnupar Ashtatarashata Shishmad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nitil Vishwam Vishnupar Ashtatarashata Shishmad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitil Vishwa Mahabhagavat Shila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Nitil Vishwa Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai. Nitil Vishwa Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shila Baldev Vijabhushan Prabhu ki Jai. Shila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki Jai. Shri Natham Srinivas Ramananda Prabhu Trai ki Jai. Shri Krishna Ras Kaviraj Gosai Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Dashagunath Sharda Gosai Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Naam Achay Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala, Gaura Mandala, Vraja Mandala, Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Bharata Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki Jai. Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki Jai. Shri Kalan Pavan Avatari, Kali Yuga Pavan Avatari. Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai. Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai. Shri Gaur Purnima Titi Maha Mahotsav ki Jai. Shri Titi Palan Kari Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Mishra ki Jai. Shri Sachi Maya ki Jai. Nimai Pandit ki Jai. Shriman Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai. Swaparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Go. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha. Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams. Sounds like they're now just starting Kirtan. So I'm going to go for Kirtan now. Thank you so much for joining me. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai. And starting from today, I already started, I read the first verse of the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and tomorrow I'll continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto. Alright, Jai Hari Bol.